Okay.
Yeah, that was fun. It wasn't like the best thing ever, but it was fun.
No, it wasn't the best thing ever, but it was fun, and I enjoyed the
Yeah,
fact that it was so not Trekky in a sense.
yeah,
There was
yeah,
not
yeah,
as much, transporters and phasers, and it was more about, a little bit of adventure and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed
yeah,
it. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
yeah, I'm not
It,
seeing the hate. I'm not seeing it.
I mean, I think it's only just because it just has a lot of elements that we've seen in other properties and so forth, and people just
Sure.
get PO'd over that, right? The tropes and like the Suicide Squad of it all, and you know, but still, there were moments and characters I really really liked.
Mm-hmm.
And but the only thing that like we had tied to all this, obviously, it's that it's in this universe that we were introduced to before, but it was about Philippa's own choices coming back to bite her in the ass.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I
Sorry,
think
what I
that's
mean.
totally true.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
I'm glad I saw it. That's it. That's
Yeah.
it. I'm glad I saw
Yeah, I
it.
didn't feel like I mean, for me the judgment of a movie is how many times did I look at the clock and go, is this over yet? And for me,
Yeah,
I didn't do that once. And that is
yeah,
enough for me to be like, okay, it could not have been that bad because I wasn't
yeah,
wondering when it was going to end. I like
yeah,
that it was exciting and fun. I like the different characters. I personally, people complain about quippiness and, one-liners and stuff like that. And it's just like, okay, but that's fun for me. I enjoy a little quippiness and one-liners, so I enjoy that. And I mean, Philippa, I mean, she chews scenery. I mean, she kind of puts you in the mind of someone who's kind of similar to Chris Tucker's character in The Fifth Element. Chews scenery, but it's
mm,
a chewing scenery that works for the character and it
yeah,
works for the story. She would be horrifyingly out of place on STNG or
yeah,
on Voyager. She would just be horribly out of place. But for something like this, that's a fun one off, I'm assuming, but whatever. But I thought it was fun. I mean, yeah, is it gonna outdo Generations? No, but like
oh, yeah,
it
no,
doesn't have to. Sometimes things are just fun, and it's what I mean. I thought it was fun. I thought it was fun.
yeah, yeah. I have to say it not just because he was just super handsome, but Amari Hardwick
Didn't
is
hurt.
my standout character in all this. Yeah, it didn't hurt.
Didn't hurt.
He had a really cool presence, right? You couldn't
Absolutely.
help but like all eyes on him when he was on screen, and I don't think he was trying to be too hammy or
Nope.
like be over the top. He just was the character that he was supposed to be, and he was the anchor for the whole group,
Yeah.
which was cool, right?
Yeah.
Because each one of them had, except for Vulcan Boy, because I can't stand that person anyway. I
Yeah.
just
Whoa. Mhm.
no, thank you. But everybody else, I think, had like their part to play, and it was really cool.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's just interesting. It's like I said, it doesn't need to go anywhere beyond. I mean, I think obviously this, if were it to be super successful, would lead into a series, right? Because
Right.
it's like a pilot almost is what I see it as, right?
Right.
It's just like here's something. Do you like it enough for it to continue,
Right.
right? And then if that doesn't work, then maybe bring these guys back in something else because I think it would be fun to see them again, part of like a bigger picture.
You can always
Yeah,
have a mini series or just a
yeah,
a special streaming thing some point in the future or whatever if you want to. If
yeah,
you don't, you don't. I
yeah,
mean, it was a complete story. They didn't leave anything hanging. We know what happened. And
yeah.
I
Jimmy
think
the
I think that if it doesn't happen, if nothing else happens with this, if nothing else ever happens, I think you
Yeah,
still have this where you've got this thing out there and exists. And for
yeah,
those people, like people who write fanfic and people who like to come up with their own stuff, here's a space in the world that we've kind of, flushed out for you. Now you
yeah,
go and take it and run with it and make it what you want. I mean, that I enjoy that because I like anything that helps people like feed their own creativity. So I like that part of it. If they don't do anything more, it's still something that just opened up a space for people and a place for imagination to run wild, and heaven knows
yeah,
that we've seen that in these big properties that opening up that world can sometimes lead you to, a Dave Filoni down the road. So I'm here
yep,
for it.
yep,
Open it up.
exactly.
Um
Right? Yeah.
but I
You can
really
continue this in
liked
a comic
the
book too.
I liked the Garrett character too. I like the fact that she's, really, stick in the mud kind of person, and all that kind of stuff. And it's just like it just takes someone to see that part of you that isn't that, and then bring it out and make you, accept what it is. And she's not changing who she is. She's just
No.
accepting that part of her that's also something else. So I
Yeah.
thought
Yeah.
that was neat. I thought the ships were awesome. The ships were awesome looking. I thought that was really cool. And yeah, that coat was the thing.
There were coats, there were boots. I mean,
There
come
were
on.
coats, there were boots. I'm sold. Like, I'm here for it.
Yeah. This is interesting. Like I said, it would have been one thing if I would have walked away from it being like, "Oh, that was terrible. Like, why did
Right.
they even make it?" But no, I didn't. No,
No.
it's okay. Not. I think the thing of it is that maybe a lot of people freak out in that they think that if one property or part of the property is not great, that means that we won't get new Trek after this, right? That this is so awful that that's it for now, right?
Or that
And
everything will
really,
be like this.
yeah, and it doesn't have to, because I mean, they have to. You have to have these properties to be able to kind of push the envelope a little bit and just kind of just let's see what we can do with this, right? It
Absolutely.
doesn't mean it's going to continue this way. It doesn't mean it's all going to be like this. I mean, my God, how many different properties over the years have we seen where some parts just don't work, some parts work really good, and we still don't get to see more of it. It
And
is what it
you
is.
never know what's going to light the fire under somebody's butt.
Yeah,
When I
yeah,
saw Empire the first time, I didn't know the character's name, didn't have any clue. I just knew he was a bounty hunter, but he was awesome. And he stuck in my head, and he was just there, and he has always been my favorite character besides Luke. And it's just like the curiosity of who he was and where he came from and what he was in
yeah,
itself. I mean, and this is for years and years and years before we got any kind of description of why he was, he still was so interesting to me. And if I were a creative person, who knows what that might have led me to,
yeah,
in the world. And especially in today's age where you can make something happen without being, Dave Filoni. You can have that kind of imagination and get somewhere with it. So I
yeah,
really enjoyed that prospect of this, is that, I understand where people are saying it's not Trek. It's not. This is not episodic Trek. This is not, I mean, like I say, these characters would be totally out of whack if you put them on
yeah.
the Enterprise anywhere. So I can completely understand that argument that it isn't anything like that. But I also, and maybe it's because I'm of the age where I grew up on the A Team and stuff like that. Like, that fits. This is exactly what you need,
That's
is a group of misfits that get the job done.
yeah,
These are those kinds of people. So I mean,
exactly.
yeah, and so to me that's kind of how it feels. And so like I say, was it the greatest thing I've ever seen? No, not by any stretch of the imagination. But I'll probably watch it again because it was fun, and it was a good
Yeah,
time. It's
yeah.
just not something I'm gonna be like super serious about. But I mean,
Yeah.
not terrible by any means.
No. And it's funny now that you mention it right now when you're talking about the A Team. When I was thinking about this earlier, I was thinking about the '80s films that
Hmm.
were very much like this. I don't know if you've seen it, but I've seen it. I saw it in like the cheapy theaters. It was a movie called Band of the Hand back in the '80s. Where they
I think
get
I've
a
seen that
group
one.
of misfits together to fight a common cause or whatever it may be, but they're just below enough the radar they can get you know
Right.
creep into places and do what somebody else won't do, right? That sort of thing,
Absolutely.
right? Yeah, and so I think that this followed that same formula, and we've seen that in Suicide Squad. We've seen that in other things like this, where not everything has to be where like it's a band of heroes or you love everybody and they're all cute and whatever. It is you got to have this too.
Well,
So
and for the
yeah,
misfits among us, for those who
yes,
don't feel like they fit in for whatever reason, you just, and I've said this before, I've said this when we've talked about anything.
yeah,
That character that makes no sense to you might be somebody that someone else can really just glom onto, and might be something that brings them some sort of enjoyment, help, whatever, whatever it brings for them. And it's sort of like some sort of a representation of a sort, to put that kind of, that feel to it with these different characters, really different from characters that we're used to. And like I said, my Disney princess is Maleficent, and I am not talking about the Angelina Jolie one. I'm talking about the one that never did anything to make anyone like her. That is
Yeah.
my girl. So for me, I mean, when Discovery was, Philippa has been my thing since day one. I have been here for Philippa. I will be here for Philippa. I will never stop being here for Philippa. But
Yeah.
I understand that's just my personal feeling, because I can identify with a character like that. So, I think that there's a lot there to work with for the future, not necessarily for movies or TV. I mean, that too, but not necessarily for that, but more for the people who enjoy the world but cannot see themselves in a Starfleet uniform, cannot see
Mm.
themselves conforming to the group and being like everyone else to a certain degree. For some people, being a part of the little, punky group over in the corner wearing different colored shoes is a perfectly, real thing. So I think this was great for that. And I think that the people who like it are going to like it. And I think that the people who don't like it don't feel that representation there, don't feel, like they would get along or feel good in this group. But, like I said, for those of us who grew up on MacGyver, they're like on a trash ship, and I'm thinking, okay, well, how would I use a trash ship to cause
Yeah,
some,
exactly.
you know?
Yeah.
I'm a graduate of the MacGyver school. Of course, I was trying to figure out how to use the stuff in the trash ship to work. I mean, but again, that's a personal behavior of mine, to immediately start to think of a way to, you know, figure something out. So for me it works. But like I said, I do, yeah, I think it was actually quite fun. It's not Citizen Kane, but quite fun, very fun. And I would put
Yeah.
it above some movies that, that I've seen with characters that I love that I'm just like, meh. Like, I mean, I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus, Thor the Dark World, but, there's a reality that this was a lot of fun, and
Yeah.
I enjoy having a little fun. I don't think everything always has to be, you know,
Yeah.
super
Yeah.
serious. Sometimes you
Yeah.
can just have a good time, and this
Exactly.
was fun.
And let me add to this because, to watch it with somebody else, because if I watch it on my own, sometimes I don't quite get the flavor of it right. But
Hmm.
I'm very happy that I got to see it with you because
Absolutely.
it just made the experience much more fun.
Right? Right? Just like sit here and make little comments, and it's like the cats don't get it. You do, and I love that about it. Look at, I got my Star Trek cup today.
Yeah. Oh, cute. I know I have a couple of shirts that I'm gonna that I found online that I want to get because it's nice to have Trek stuff on when we're talking Trek, right? Oh, what was the wait, 5 card stud, nothing well, and the sky's the limit. Very
Because I'm a
nice.
Picard girl, and I mean, I know it
Yeah.
doesn't show, but I'm a Picard
No,
girl.
not at all. I funny. I saw that online and I was like, kind of need to get that.
Yeah, as soon as
Yeah.
I saw it, I'm
Yeah.
like, I have to have that, because
Yes.
I mean, I'm an STNG girl, but I have enjoyed Star Trek across the board. I mean, I had seen the original series before STNG, and then the stuff that's come after it. And I think that openness to all different kinds of things and all different kinds of telling has been useful, because there's definitely Trek that I wouldn't like if I was
Yeah.
totally just like, I only like STNG and I won't go outside of it. It's like, well,
Yeah.
then you're gonna miss out when Voyager's on.
Yeah.
You know,
No. And
you're
it's
gonna
like,
miss out.
yeah, I've always it's fun because I didn't grow up watching. Well, I watched the original series when it was on TV as a kid, but like I said, the alien at the end of the show scared the hell out of me, so I just didn't watch it enough, right?
I thought
But
Shatner was so cute.
yeah,
Oh
but
God, even as a
then it's
kid.
like the motion picture came out, and I went to go see this on the big screen, and I saw the Enterprise in all its glory, and I fell in love with the ship the moment I saw it, and it
Yeah,
was just from there. I was like, okay, I love this universe too. I was like,
yeah.
let's do this, right?
For me, it
Right?
was
It's
it
funny that
was.
Yeah.
It was the creation or the announcement that STNG was going to be on. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, finally, something I don't have to watch in reruns. I'll get to see it from the start.
Right.
And,
Right.
I remember sitting in the living room on the floor, cross-legged in front of the TV, just waiting
Yeah.
for it to start. And the minute it started, I mean, my first response was, Gurney! And then after that, it was I love this show and I love these characters. And it's one of those things that really sticks out to me because unlike most of the universes that I've been to and enjoyed, this is one where I really have a hard time saying this is my favorite character
Yeah.
because I really truly worship and adore all of these characters for different reasons at different times. I mean, yes, I talk about Frakes the most because Frakes, and I talk about, Picard the most because he's Picard and he's the leader and he's, the guy.
Yeah.
But it's just like, man, I could go on for hours about any of these characters, about all of the things that make them interesting and the things that I love. And I know that that's the case for Deep Space Nine and Voyager and all of those other shows for other people. And I've seen those and I love them. I mean, there's no shame in my game, but like you were saying, there's that memory when it really sucks you in.
Yeah.
And for
Yeah.
me, it was that moment, that encounter at Farpoint, where it was just like, yeah, dude,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, you know.
Yeah, TNT is one, I've revisited quite a few times, and I think it's a rich tapestry,
Mhm.
like you were saying, of talent,
Mhm.
of story, you know,
Mhm.
and even for TV, the visuals at the time, right, what they could create in that time period, right?
Mhm.
Um, there's not very many shows that can do that. And this is not to say anything about the other Trek shows because I love them all for different reasons, like you were saying.
Right.
But there's something to be said about a show that continually gives, and you do a rewatch, and each time there's something new that you take from it and you
Yeah.
love it more.
Yeah.
It's things you see, you're like, how come I didn't notice that before, right? Another show that I do that with is The West Wing.
Yeah.
I will watch it from time to time because I just need it. My soul needs it from time to time, right? I
Yeah.
get to that point where I'm like, it's time for a rewatch of this show, right? Because I just need that part of me to see this again, right? And
Mhm.
so, yeah, when a show is made very well, it lives on and it evolves within you. It doesn't even have to evolve from its own thing. It evolves within you, right?
Yeah.
And what you love about it, because you may end up loving an episode 10 years after the fact that you're like, I never paid attention to this before. Now I love it. What the hell? Like, how come I didn't see this before? Right? In the
I
same
never
way.
watched The West Wing when it was actually on. I actually
Okay.
ended up watching it after when it was in
Yeah.
reruns and I finally,
Yeah.
but I have fallen so terribly in love with The West Wing and yeah, like you're saying, it absolutely forms the way I look at things, right now in my life, and I see people that are struggling and having difficulties or whatever the case may be and I go back to Leo and Josh, he says because I've been down here
Absolutely.
before and I know the way out. It's
Oh
like
yeah.
that
Yeah.
forms a huge part of how I look at the world is to say,
Yeah.
if someone has fallen down, can I help you? Because I know how to get out. I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but we're going to find a way and I'll be here to help you do it. And it's just like, that's what that kind of television is about. And it's what Gene was trying to do with Star Trek and did with Star Trek The Next Generation and so on and so forth. And yeah, I think those shows, deserve a rewatch on occasion so you can be reminded about all of the things that it taught you and to see them in a different light, because like you said, just going back and watching Measure of a Man now as opposed to watching it as a kid is like a completely different, just the concept is totally different to me now than it was before. And yeah, I mean, if you make good TV, you make good TV, right?
Yeah. 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 And then when it boils down to like what we've seen from all these different shows and everything, and how it may evolve, but in the end, to me, like the big pull and what I see in all this is just the hope for humanity. That no
Absolutely.
matter what happens, that hope will prevail,
Yes.
right? And I think now more than ever, we
Mm-hmm.
need that.
Yep.
And so
Now more than ever, we
there's
need to
that.
know that all of us have something to give, no matter where we come from, no matter who we are. We all can be a part of this big machine, and we need to be. And it needs to come with, recognizing differences, but accepting them at the same time. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
yeah, I think us trekkers and trekkies, we learned that young, but I think it's
Yeah,
good
we
to,
sure did.
remind people ahead of time, like, hey man, we've been cool since the start. You just noticed now.
And with that, I want to say thank you so much for watching Section 31 with us. We have this and much more coming here at Brolithium as Rayven and I talk about all things Trek, whether that be the movies, the TV series, the music, all of it. What we enjoy about Trek in general. That's what we're here for, and we're here to talk about it in a positive light.
Make sure you like and subscribe. And if you like what you're seeing, join our Patreon. Helps us continue doing what we've been doing and to do more. So thanks for watching, and live long and prosper. But you
See
can't
you all in
see.
the Alpha Quadrant.